So the title of this masterclass is Manifest Like Serena Williams. I actually don't follow tennis, but the fact that I and probably most of you know of Serena Williams shows how successful she became in her field. I don't know what her training program was, but I'm pretty sure that it was intensive. We also know that she overcame a lot of obstacles as a Black woman, so as a minority in the United States to get to where she is now. I mentioned her because I want you to think of yourselves as elite athletes. Each and every one of you has the potential for greatness. And greatness means something different for for you as an individual. So Serena Williams, her greatness is becoming a tennis superstar. For most of us, we don't aspire to that level. So when I say greatness, don't think of something that like is this Jeff Bezos, Serena Williams, like superstar status. It's what does it mean to you? You know, and so it's your greatness. It's your potential. You don't look at a baby and say, well, you little baby can only achieve this and that's all that is available to you. You don't limit that baby. You look at a baby and you say, and at least I do, I look at, oh my gosh, this baby can do anything that they want because they're starting out with a blank slate. And you know that a baby is worthy of anything that they want. They don't have to do anything to earn it. They can have whatever they want just by the fact that they're here and they want it. And so you see that infinite potential in them. So I'd like for you to do yourself a favor and grant yourself the same grace that your parents, hopefully most of your parents had for you. So give that to yourself. Give that to the inner child within you, the one within you who wants to experience this amazing family and whatever else that comes along with it. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to prove yourself. It's yours for the taking, just for the fact that you're here and that you came into the physical form of a human being because you wanted to have different experiences. So I just want to make that crystal clear that you don't have to prove anything. There's nothing for you to prove to anyone else. The only competition that you have is yourself. It's not with others. It's within you. And so you can have whatever you want just because you want it. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to feel you have to be worthy of it. By the very fact of your existence, you deserve to have all that you want. And so for the purposes of being here with me, your greatness includes having the family of your dreams, having that baby. So today, we're going to talk about 3 aspects of this elite athlete mindset that you need to have moving forward to manifest your baby. And I use that analogy quite a bit, the elite athlete, because that's truly how I see my clients, because I'm pushing them. You know, I mean, they're doing things that are uncomfortable with them, for them, and they're okay with it because they can see that there's a reason behind it. They can see the gains even as they're doing it. It's like being in the gym. You know, your muscles are tired, you hate the freaking machine, but you're going to push through the fatigue because you know that when you're done, you're going to feel so much better. It's the same thing. So first, elite athletes train to be the best at their sport. And then in the process, they win a lot. Their goal is not to win. Their goal is to be the best athlete at that sport that they can be. And as a byproduct, when they become the best that they can be, then they win a lot. And they don't win all the time. Remember that. They don't win all the time, but just enough to be at the top of their field. So I think like, I know nothing about baseball, but I remember reading like with the baseball, like batting averages, like it's actually in terms of percentage of how many balls they hit, it's actually very, very low. And so, you know, but for them to achieve like greatness or whatever, they just have to be above everyone else. And so they practice to do that. So you don't have to win all the time. For you, you only need that one big win. And so, but there are little steps along the way to show you that you're progressing. So with the athletes, again, being their best comes first, not the winning. The winning is the byproduct. It is the same for you. Be the best version of yourself. And the natural benefit is that you get what you want. In this case, your baby. So a lot of people are really focused on the end result, the baby, and they want to know how to jump from here to there. from where they are now to the baby? How do you go from this point to this point and leapfrog and jump right from point A to point B? The issue with that is for a lot of people, for women in their 40s, there's a journey. There's a step. There are steps along the way in order to get there. And so to ignore that fact that applies to most people basically limits your ability to see what's possible in order to get from here to here. So it has to work that way because the journey is so emotional with lots of ups and downs, and you know that. So part of your journey has to be able to find the fulfillment and the serenity on your way to the baby. You can't wait until the baby is here in order to feel the fulfillment and serenity. You have to be able to feel that now without the baby. When you can do that, you will naturally build confidence in yourself that you can do it, that you can have that healthy baby. And that confidence comes in the little wins every single day. Athletes build their confidence by winning in the local games before they go to the district level, then the statewide level, then national, then international. They don't jump from local to international success. They have to build their success. They start from here and they keep up leveling. I might have stumbled on that up level. It's a tongue twister. And it's the same for you. So for you to build confidence, there are two main areas you want to pay attention to. The first is to notice how your health improves over time, knowing that as your health improves, so does your fertility. Because, there are, for the majority of people, there really aren't a whole lot of signs and symptoms that they can really kind of hang their coat on and see, okay, I'm getting more fertile, right? So you've got to kind of look about it in a kind of bigger perspective, 10,000 foot view. So number one would be to look at how your health improves. That may mean, and it's different for everyone, that may mean that your period is healthier. That could be for some people that if the period is light, it's going to get heavier. If the period is short, it's going to get longer. If the period is really heavy, then it's going to get lighter. If it's painful, then it's going to get less painful. So whatever that means to you in terms of what a healthier period is, you use that kind of as a way, as an indicator of whether or not you're progressing, you're getting closer to your goal. You would also look at your general health, whether or not that's improving as well. Are you getting more energy? Are you getting better sleep? Do you experience more endurance when you're exercising? Are you able to do more things physically? So that's another indicator. So that first area is to look at your physical health and use that to track whether or not you're improving and whether or not you're gaining positive momentum. And so the second area, and this is especially for those of you who are generally very healthy and you're really not going to feel a whole lot of physical changes. This applies to me. I'm generally really healthy. I don't have aches or pains. I can do whatever I want. So it's not the physical health area is not an issue so much for me. So the second area will be your main area, as it is for me, your ability to manifest things into your life intentionally. And I suggest that you have small manifestation experiments to prove to yourself that you can manifest intentionally. So stuff like, I want to manifest a free coffee, a parking spot in front of the store that I'm going to go to, because I know that generally parking is a little more challenged. A dress that I want. How easily can I get that dress? Can I get the exact dress that I want? A trip, somewhere. Can I manifest a trip with my partner or by myself? Can I manifest my partner doing something for me that I've wanted him to do? And so without asking, or maybe without asking, because that would be manifestation. Can I manifest a text or a call from someone that I haven't heard in a while? So basically things that you aren't attached to. You want to start off small, and it's just to build your manifestation muscle. Because if you start small and you start seeing, oh, I put this out there and it came to me really, really quickly and really easily, then it's like, oh, because in the view of universe, source, God, whatever, the ability to manifest a text or a parking spot, it is no different than manifesting a baby. It's all the same thing. And it's just energy. And so if you can really connect with that, if I can manifest these smaller things, that the difference is that you're not attached to these smaller things. You're really attached to the baby. And so understanding that, okay, I'm able to manifest when I'm in this mindset, and then I'll build on that. So I personally like to manifest information. So I ask the universe what information I need, and it comes. Sometimes it comes immediately. Sometimes it comes a few days later, but it comes eventually. And then, and then when it comes, you want to thank the universe for giving that to you, for, serving it up to you. You want to acknowledge it because you want to develop the awareness that what you put out in terms of thoughts and desires, it is always answered. It may not be in the form that you expect, but it's always answered. So I like information just because it's the easiest, since it's just information is just kind of sitting out in the universe, just really out there, and it's just waiting to be accessed. And if you set the intention, which means when you're setting an intention, it means that you're tuning your frequency to have like certain information, certain solutions, a certain way of seeing things. And so I love working with the of asking for information. You just want to get into a really playful mood about it. Just be curious with an open heart and just really have fun with it. And then you will see, if you're, if you consciously practice it, you will see that you do manifest what you ask for, which means on the flip side, you also manifest what you don't want. And so when you see that you're doing that, then it's much easier to gain control over your ability to manifest intentionally. So you can ask for and manifest anything you want, even if others don't think it's realistic. That's kind of the whole point of my work, to be honest. It's to create whatever reality you want. Actually, technically, the reality is already created. For those of you who are a little bit more kind of further along on the spiritual journey, the reality is already created. What you're doing is you're tuning in your frequency to that reality, and you're calling it in, you're magnetizing it in. Creation is already done. There's no more creating that needs to be done. Every moment, past, present, and future, are all in the same moment, which is the present moment. And all you're doing is you're just what you're locking into, kind of like a laser. You're locking into the reality you want, and you're staying so locked into it that you just pull it in by law of attraction. So for most of you, going back to the realistic thing, for most of you, having a baby is not realistic, according to allopathic medicine, according to modern medicine, to the Western doctors. I can tell you that as long as it's a strong desire for you, you have the ability to manifest it, no matter how unrealistic it may seem. You think about the Wright brothers in their vision of flying, the first motorized airplane. Who would have believed them that it was possible? I'm pretty sure that it was no more than a handful of people. It's just that they stuck with their vision long enough and really persevered enough for it to materialize. You have to do the same thing. Okay. And so, yeah, I know that then it's like, why is it so much easier for everyone else? Women ask that all the time. Why is it so easy for them? First and foremost, you have no idea what others had to go through in order to have their baby. Just like you, most women don't share this journey openly. So it's kept behind closed doors. Don't make any assumptions. And basically, you just want to mind your own business in terms of what other people experience and what they go through. I can tell you, like, I was texting a friend this morning, and she was asking me about my vacation. And then I sent her, it was amazing. I told her it was amazing. And I went through my photos and I sent her like 3 pictures. And then it just kind of dawned on me, like, oh, this is how social media works. All they're doing is just pulling pictures from, their photo album. They're posting it, and it gives this illusion that their life is this hunky-dory, like everything's smooth. Like, I could do that. I could just pull happy pictures from my photo. Everyone can do that. And then they give this illusion. So I just want you to be aware. Don't make any assumptions. You have no idea what they have been through. There are many, many more people than you think who are struggling as well. on the motherhood journey. They're having a difficult time. I can guarantee if you talk to 10 women within your circle, you would be surprised at how many of them had a difficult time. So don't make any assumptions, mind your own business. It will make life a lot simpler for you and less dramatic and less emotional. Their story is not yours. So for you to compare yourself to them, it's futile. And in many cases, it's just harmful to you because you feel like you're less than, right? That's really kind of the point of the comparison. It's like, there's always going to be someone who's going to be less than. So the second reason as to why it's so much easier for others to get pregnant, or why it seems like it is, and what is more common is for women in their 40s, you simply have so much doubt that you're getting in your own way. For women who did get pregnant easily, the vast majority didn't put much energy into believing that it's not possible. They just didn't think about it. The women in the past that I've worked with who were younger in their 30s, typically I don't usually work with women in their 20s. They don't come to me because they really don't think it's not, that they really just don't think about the possibility or impossibility of it. So the women in the 30s, they generally, for the most case, don't really have any idea of it not working. They just come to me because they want it to happen more quickly. And so I was an acupuncturist before I started doing the spirit baby work and working with manifestation. So I had a lot of women in their 30s just coming in for acupuncture, and they got pregnant within like 2 months because there was no hesitation, there was no doubt. Women in their 40s, there's plenty of doubt. And so that's kind of what you have to work through and release, because if you don't do that, it's just working against you. And that's really honestly one of the biggest reasons why women in their 40s aren't getting pregnant. It's just because they don't believe it. And we really need to flip that script so that you can start believing in it. And more than believing it, you know it, where it's just like you have the certainty of it, where it's inevitable. Okay. Which means in order to get to that state, you have to stop the what if it doesn't happen talk. Winners never talk that way, ever. They focus on their training and they focus on getting better every day. They don't talk about, well, what if I lose? It's like, it's so self-defeating. And I think intuitively, you know that, but it's easy to get sucked in that, right? Because you want to prepare yourself for the disappointment, for the aftermath or whatever. But you have to do the same thing where you just get rid of that. What if it doesn't happen talk? You just have to assume that it's going to happen, that the baby's going to come. So the athletes have physical training. Yours is more on the spiritual and emotional training. You're building confidence in yourself. You're building the courage so that when you're called to do something you're uncomfortable with, you can do it. And you're building resilience so that when you stumble, you get right back up. You stumble, you get right back up. You don't just stand there and just ponder what happened. You just get back up as quickly as possible and say, okay, dust yourself off and just move on. That's the path to success. So, the first point was, what was the first point? I talked so much, I can't even remember what the first point was. So the first point was, you just want to be the highest version of yourself, basically. That's the first point. Yeah, corny as it sounds, it is critical. Okay, then the second is, you want to make a decision and just commit to your path on how to get there as it stands now. Athletes have a training regimen to improve their skills, their speed, their reaction time, whatever. So they have a very clear path that's usually set by their coach. Thank you very much. So they have a very clear path to success. All they have to do is just do it. Stop questioning it. Stop saying, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? They just do it. And so what is your path? You're going to have to figure that out. Are you trying naturally? You're using IVF? You're using donor eggs? It may change in the future, but you need to decide how you're going to get there now, at this moment in time. If you don't know, choose what feels best for you at this time. At this time. What is most comfortable for you? What feels the best for you? That is your path right now. And so for most women, that's going to be to try naturally. Again, you can change your mind down the road. So I'm not saying you're locked in. It's just you have to lock into what is now. So because when you commit, you're going to feel more grounded. And then it summons your own life force. It summons universal life force to really kind of work towards that, to work in your favor. Don't worry about getting it wrong. You cannot get it wrong. As I said, you can always change your mind later. You know, there are reasons why you choose what you do. And so if you feel like it went wrong, you just want to take a pause and look at it like, what is there to learn, right? So if you approach it with that mindset, then nothing is ever wasted. So make a decision and then let it flow. If you're trying naturally and you want to stay natural, awesome. Fully support you in that, regardless of what your age is. So don't email me and ask, can I still get pregnant at this age? Yes. I'm always going to say yes, 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 yes. If it's really what you want, yes. In your 50s, yes. In your 40s, yes. No one's ever said 60s, but okay. Maybe that'll push me to pass my comfort zone. But if you really, truly want it, yes, it's possible. Okay. I fully support you in it because for most of you, your best chances is going to be the natural route. And so that means those of you who are diagnosed with unexplained infertility and age-related infertility, such as age, poor egg quality, low AMH, diminished ovarian reserve, abnormal blood levels, anything basically where there's not really any identifiable physical issue that requires surgery, like there's an obstruction in the fallopian tubes or in the uterus, right? It's what we call a functional issue where your body isn't functioning at its optimal capacity. If you're trying naturally, but you're not sure if you want to move on to IVF, stick with the natural until you feel called to go with IVF. And when I say call, it's like there's, I guess, just a really strong gravitational pull that you just can't fight. It's just your thoughts are consumed, like it just feels like the right thing. And you do IVF only when there's no hesitation in it, when there's full acceptance and excited anticipation, where you look forward to exploring another avenue. You don't choose IVF because you're grasping at straws, just desperately trying anything that you can. You can have one method, IVF, and two very different outcomes because there are two completely different frequencies. One comes from abundance, that frequency of excited anticipation, of that no hesitation of, yeah, this feels right. That's abundance. And then you have the other frequency going into IVF coming from lack, where it's coming from fear, you're grasping at straws and you're just desperate for anything to try. That's two totally different things. It may be the same path. It may be the same treatment method, but going in is two completely different. The input is completely different. Therefore, the output will be different as well. You basically want to feel like you're on a boat that's going downstream where you're going with the flow and you can just pick up things along the way and you're not going against the current. I remember I was in Thailand a long time ago and we went to the Thai floating markets and it was just an amazing experience. And so the markets are on the river and they're selling their foods or wares or whatever. Each vendor was on a boat as well or on the dock. And so I don't know who I was with. Anyway, so I was on a boat just floating through it. And there was someone who's just paddling. And all I did was I would point at what I wanted and then they would give it to me and I would exchange money. So I would give them money. And it was just like the most beautiful experience. And life should feel that way where you're just kind of floating along and there's this like someone just paddling for you, which would be universe. And all you're doing is you're identifying what you want. And then it comes to you. It doesn't always come to you immediately. There might be some work that you have to do and that's okay as long as you accept that as part of the journey. But that's kind of the sense that you really want to have as you're going through life. And it's just a really kind of peaceful feeling. All right, moving on. So generally for women in their 40s, I think inseminations can work but you have to do them enough times for it to be successful. Most doctors do 3 inseminations, and then if they don't work, they move on to IVF. I have to say, without doubt, 3 inseminations is just not enough for most women, because it's a statistics thing, it's a numbers thing, and 3 inseminations just, I mean, you did 3 cycles of trying naturally. Has it worked? No. So it's going to be the same thing with inseminations. It doesn't increase the success rate enough that you can get pregnant within 3 inseminations. I don't know how many is necessary, because women don't stick with it long enough for me to give you an average. Like I said, doctors kind of give them 3 inseminations and then they move on to IVF. There are very few women who are willing to do more than 3. And so, but it is those women who do more than 3 that are generally more successful. And so if you're just kind of going to do the 3 and then move on to the IVF, I think it's basically a waste of time, money, and energy. And the most harmful of all is that it chips away at your self-confidence, because then you're thinking, oh, I'm paying for this treatment, it's not working, and it's like, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work. So that's kind of where you start spiraling into you're grasping at anything that's available to you. So for that reason, if you're not going to be able to do more than 3 inseminations, I think you might want to rethink that. So I personally wouldn't even go there unless I'm willing to do at least 6 cycles of it. I think 6 cycles is a fair shot. 3 cycles is not, period. If moving on to donor eggs, if you're doing donor eggs, embrace it. Don't hold on to any guilt that may come from thinking that you gave up on your eggs. I'm assuming that making that decision made you feel better about your chances. So just build on that. Just release any type of guilt of I gave up or whatever. Just focus on, this is awesome. I have like this brand new chance with younger eggs and and just really focus on the fact that, it seems so much more accessible to you having the baby. Okay. All right. So those are kind of the most common strategies that clients are on. So the next thing is to stop trying to strategize a long-term plan, where you're telling yourself you're going to do this particular method for X number of cycles. If it doesn't work, then you're going to do something else. Oh, like what the doctors say, like you're going to do 3 inseminations. If that doesn't work, then you're going to do IVF. You personally have to stop doing that. You make those decisions at the time as they come up. You want to be in the moment of it, going back to the feel of it, being in the flow of it. When you start doing this long-term planning, what you're essentially putting out to the universe is that whatever you're doing now isn't going to be successful. You're basically saying that what I'm doing now, whether it's trying naturally, IVF, donor eggs, whatever it is, it's not going to be successful. Therefore, I have to plan. I'd have to have a plan B. And that's what you're putting out into the universe. So you've got to cut that out, and just stay focused on the moment. Okay, I am going for the time being, I'm going to try this way. Naturally, IVF, whatever, right? And just commit to that. A successful mindset means there's no plan B, because plan B is plan A. You adjust when the current situation calls for it, not beforehand. And so it's like trying to see the whole staircase all at one time. Life doesn't work that way. You just need to know what your step is now, and maybe the next step, just for you to feel a little bit more comfortable. The less steps you need to know, the better your results in terms of manifesting and calling in your baby, because that means you're more in the present moment, which is where you can create. And I know that contradicts traditional goal setting, but we're talking about manifestation, which has completely different rules. And those are the rules of the universe. And for those who are on the spiritual journey, they've experienced that. And so you just kind of, for wherever you are on the spiritual journey, you just kind of want to get into the whole, be present, be present, be present. Stop trying to plan your entire baby journey out, because it's not going to, and you've experienced this with life in general. Things generally don't turn out the way that you expect. So give that need to control up to the universe, so that the universe can step in, for your highest good. Yeah. All right. So after you've committed to your path in step 2, right? So step 1 was being the highest version of yourself. Step 2, excuse me, choosing your path and committing to it. Step 3 is to stop consuming mainstream fear-based information on how to get pregnant. Athletes don't read about the statistics of getting first place. They know it's difficult. They know that, to get to for the gold medal in the Olympics, I mean, what are the chances of that? I have no idea, but we know it's tiny, but they don't reinforce it constantly. Instead, they think about what they can do to get better and better and better. They don't think about how hard it is and how, what the tiny percentage of success is. If they stayed in that, they would never be successful. So how that translates on your journey is that includes information about your diagnosis, the procedures, the supplements, the nutrition. It will be coming from books, forums, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever else, news, I don't know, your doctors, whatever. And you have to cut it off. And I know that's going to be really hard for a lot of you because that requires an enormous amount of trust. And a lot of you probably don't have that trust yet. You can build it, but you don't have it quite yet. So it's going to be really hard, but you got to start somewhere. You got to start by cutting off the things that create a lot of toxicity. The issue with all of this consumption of information is that, number one, what is the opposite of consumption? Creation, right? You have two opposing energies. So if you're spending your time consuming information, you have no energy to create. Your mind is like a bottomless blender and you keep feeding it nonstop with information. And I've been there, so I totally know what it's like. And it's just like you're just flooded with it's just overwhelming. Your mind's just constantly spinning about like the stuff that you've read and been exposed to. And your mind doesn't stop long enough for you to like put all the information together, make it into nice smoothie, and then you enjoy the creation. It's because it's just constantly blending, right? It's a trap that's really a borderline addiction. It's feeding the fear of, am I missing something? And that's the reason why you're consuming all this information, because you feel like you're missing something. It makes you feel productive because you think you're like, the more that you learn about what you can do to help yourself, the better. The thing is that consuming all of this information is just a huge distraction from the inner work that you have to do. You already have what it takes to be the mother that you want to be, to have the baby that you want. And so there's nothing outside of yourself. For a small percentage of you, you women do need to have procedures in order to overcome a specific diagnosis. That's actually a very small percentage of you. The vast majority of you don't need to. And so it's already within you. All of your solution is within you. I promise you that. Your outer reality is merely a reflection of what's inside of you. So if you don't have something that you really want out there, it's because something in here is missing, or it's not connected, it's not aligned, it's not unified. And that's where you need to look. It's within. It's not out there in the books. Okay, because that's only one person's perspective and opinion. And there's usually a lot of negative stuff that's kind of thrown in there as well. And it just doesn't do well with your psyche. All right. So when you're consuming information, it's tangling up, locking up your energy to create, because you're just getting all this information in, and you're not spending enough time to do anything with that information, the stuff that is useful. The second issue with all the consuming of the information is that you're getting too much into the how it's going to happen. When you get into the how, you're going to compromise, because your ego is going to say it's not possible because of fears, and the ego is trying to protect yourself. And then the ego is going to assert what she thinks is realistic. And then when that happens, you're not really going to follow your heart. And then ultimately, that's what you're trying to do, is to follow your heart. Your heart is your compass. There is nothing else to worry about other than what your heart says. And people often feel like they don't get what they want, because they got into the how and they gave control over to the head and the ego. They squashed the heart and her whispers, because she whispers, she doesn't shout like the ego. The ego has a megaphone constantly shouting. And so you have to learn to quiet that down and learn to amplify the heart's whispers. Okay. When people start listening to their ego, to their head, they stop following their heart and they start to compromise. And then the manifestation comes, and then you say, oh, this isn't really what I wanted. Right? So instead, you just want to follow your heart. And when you do that, you create this openness and this spaciousness where the universe just steps in and it takes care of the how. Because at the end of the day, even with the technology that we have, we know next to nothing about how a baby comes from 2 cells. It's an incredible, miraculous, beautiful process that we literally know nothing about, just like a mere drop. And so trying to control that process is so futile that I tell you, just give it up and just start listening and being guided by your heart. Okay. So learning how to listen to your heart, and by doing so, you tap into your creative power of having a baby, is the purpose of my new program, calling My Spirit Baby program. This program is really about you coming into union with yourself, understanding that the thoughts, the beliefs, and the feelings that you have, they are not the true essence of who you are. They are actually basically like 2 dual identities. And you have to learn how to separate the 2. Who are you? Your heart. And who do you sometimes default to? Your ego. Who do you sometimes give power over to? Your ego. The real you, what other spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle and Michael Singer refer to as the I am. A lot of spiritual teachers talk about I am. That's the real you. That's source. You are source. And a lot of people have a difficulty grasping this concept. So I'm just going to lay it out there for you to kind of chew on. You are one aspect of source, your source. A beam of sunlight is an aspect of the sun. It's not the whole part, but it's a part. A cell in your body is an aspect of your physical body, not the whole, but a part. In exactly the same way, you are an aspect of source, of universe, of God, whoever you think of as your higher power. You are a part of that. Because you are source, you have the ability to create miracles. Remember, I talked about, when you look at a baby, you know that the baby has it has infinite potential. It's because the baby came from source, right? The physical body, is something different, but the soul, the essence of the baby, and also you came from source. You are source. When you come into union with yourself, and by that, I mean following your heart, or the fragments of who you are that split off because of pain, of disappointment, of trauma, whatever it is that you went through, and everyone has gone through their share of pain. Those fragments reintegrate and you become whole. And it is from that union and that connection you can then call in your spirit baby. In fact, just this morning, I received a message from a past client who's in her early 40s. She sent me a picture of her 8-month-old baby, super cute. And she wrote, and let me read this. OMG, Julie, I looked at this pic and had to share it with you. This was the face I saw when I saw my spirit baby. I never really saw the baby's clothes, but this was her face. I remember the smile and big, joyful eyes. Wow. When I read that, I had shivers. I mean, I was like, this is the work that I do with my clients. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it. It's because the ability to be able to experience your baby before they're born, to get to know them, to really get to know the true essence of them, it's just so magical. And so to have that, to have what she saw in her connections, in her meditations with the spirit baby, really, truly manifests with, I just thought it was amazing. I wanted to share that with you. So your unborn baby, your spirit baby, has a very specific frequency. What allows you to connect with that frequency so you can call them in and manifest them from spirit to the physical, transcending your physical age? You're going to learn how to be able to connect with that frequency in this Call in My Spirit Baby program. I mean, having your baby, what if it's easier than you think? A lot of women are actually overcomplicating it with overanalysis. And so if they learn how to just let go of the fears, it will happen. It'll click into place. And it's just really a wonderful process. And so within the program, you're going to discover the secrets of advanced level manifestation, where you get to create a reality with your baby in it. I'm going to be talking about knowledge that is way beyond positive attitudes, beyond affirmations and vision boards. That's just like beginner stuff. You know, that's kind of like manifestation 101 dummies level. What I teach is what allows my clients in my 40s to have their healthy babies, even when they've been told no by their doctors over and over again. So I want to invite you, and I'd love to see you in the Call in My Spirit Baby program, because your life is about to change with this knowledge. And you know, I'm going to be there as your guide to teach it to you, to help you to learn it, to practice it, and to integrate it. And it is life-changing, and it's an amazing process. So I hope you join me on it, and I would love to see you. If there are any questions about what I covered, please let me know in the chat. All right, make sure that you change your chat over to everyone so everyone can read your question. And if there aren't any questions, I will have this available as a replay. And if, let's see what else. Oh, if you do want to register for the program, I'm sending emails out, the payment links with the replay and various emails in the upcoming 2 weeks, because we start the first week of September. All of the calls will be recorded. And so if you can't attend live, then that's fine. I'll have one call scheduled for like late morning, and then the other one for kind of later in the afternoon, just for people in different time periods or time zones. And so, and I hope to see you there. Okay. All right. Any questions? It doesn't look like it. Cool. Okay. So thank you so much for attending and taking the time out of your day for it. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and I will see you soon. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. You're very welcome.